We are going to overview key points. We will see the things that you should review to write effective key points. Then we will walk you through how to apply these. After that, you'll get to see an example of strong key points. So key points are the most essential content or concepts associated with the standard and objective. They guide the creation of your daily lesson plans. Each subject has a nuanced way of writing key points. In math, we write key points by describing the why, or the concept, the what, or the new definitional knowledge needed, and the how, which is the process. So, what should you use to write key points in math? Well, you should use the standard, the objectives, and the student work. Let's take a look at how we do this. Here is a 4th grade standard. This standard ties to a lesson that we'll review in a moment, but first, we will work to understand what the standard requires. It says that students need to apply the formula for area and perimeter in real-world problems. So we know we're going to be dealing with area and perimeter, and although there are plenty of ways to find area and perimeter, the standard is calling specifically for the use of formulas. We'll keep this in mind as we continue gathering information to write our key points. Now we're going to look at the objective. You can see it right here at the top. And this is for the same lesson of the standard that we just looked at. It says that students will calculate the area of a square or rectangle using standard units of measure. The word calculate, along with the word formula in the standard, lets me know how they will be finding area. And that is just area. Although the standard calls out area and perimeter, the objective is just focused on area, so we know we'll be using the area formula, or area equals length times width, to calculate the areas of squares and rectangles. The objective also mentions standard units of measure, but since we are working with area, we need to remember that these standard units of measures are going to be squared. So squared inches, squared feet, squared meters, squared units, whatever the unit is, it will be squared if we are talking about area. Thus far, we have reviewed the standard and objective, but we know we also need to review some student work. You can see an example of a problem students need to solve here, right below the objective. The student work is extremely helpful in writing the how key points. The process students will follow to practice and apply new skills. When you sit down and solve some of the student work as if you were a student, it really helps you to paint a picture of the process you want students taking or the things they should be thinking about as they solve. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to flip over to another screen to solve this problem and really hone in on what I want students to be doing as they are finding area of rectangles and squares. This is going to help me craft really effective how key points. So I'm going to just exit this screen and come over here. And you can see we have the same problem here. It says Jorge is carpeting 2 rooms. One room is a square with a side that measures 6 meters. The other room is a rectangle with sides that measure 3 meters and 12 meters. How many square meters of carpet does Jorge need? So I can start working this out. I know that there's room 1, I'm going to put R1, and that is a square with each side that measures 6 meters. And we know we're using our formula area equals length times width. So in this first room, I can use what I know about squares to write this formula out. Area will equal length, which is 6, and because it's a square, I know that my width is also 6. That will give me an area of 6 times 6, which is 36 meters squared. Okay, so I found the area of the first room, but I know that there's another room. So I'm going to write R2 for room 2 down here. And I'm going to use my area formula just like the objective and the standards call for. It says the other room is a rectangle with sides that measure 3 meters and 12 meters. So in this room, the length and the width are not the same, but I can still use my formula. Area equals, we'll say the length is 12 meters times our width, which we'll say is 3 meters. And so In order to find this, we of course need to calculate our area by multiplying length times width, so 12 times 3, and that again will give me an area of 36 meters squared. And then if we go on to read the actual question, or the rest of the question, it says how many square meters of carpet does Jorge need? So we know that he needs this amount for the first room, and he needs this amount for the second room. So if I combine those two amounts, 36 times 2, 1 for the first room, 1 for the second room, I know I will get a total of 72 meters squared that he will need. So we just worked this problem out as if we were a student. And as we flip back to our overview of key points, I want you to be thinking about how we solve that, because those will eventually become your how key points. So take a moment to read over these key points, and then pause if you need to. As you move through the rest of the session, you'll get a chance to practice writing your own key points, and you can always come back to these as a reference for effective, high-quality key points.